Spring migration in April and May in New York City brings over 200 species of birds that wouldn't be there during the winter. As this is my first year seriously birding, I figured this would be a great opportunity to get out and find some new species for my life list. So today we're going to be going to two different locations in Brooklyn and New York City and trying to find as many species of birds as we possibly can. The first location is Greenwood Cemetery, and this is a very underrated spot largely in Brooklyn, New York, and it's located just south of Prospect Park. It stretches several hundred acres, and while I was there on a weekend, there was still largely not a lot of people there. It's a park without the people. I mean, well, I guess there's people underground, but... The first thing that you're going to notice when you're walking in the main entrance is this large Gothic archway and the sound of screeching overhead. And these aren't the souls of the undead, it's actually an invasive population of monk parakeets that have taken up residency and built their signature monastery nest structure on top of this Gothic archway. Although they're an invasive species and can present some problems building their nests on top of power lines and things like that, they are allowed to maintain this population in the cemetery by the city officials because, for one, it's a small-level tourist attraction that people do appreciate and like them in the neighborhood. Additionally, they keep away rock pigeons from the area of the cemetery for the most part, and this is done because the poop of the rock pigeons is actually highly acidic to the stone in the cemetery, whereas the waste of the parakeets is not as harmful, so it's seen as a preferred population to have there. I saw a European starling posing up on top of a tomb with a worm. I believe this is a red-tailed hawk flying over in the sky, as well as a unidentified gull species. Here's a gray catbird. I really think this was the bird of the week because this is really the one that I saw the most, along with a wood thrush that I saw just walking along the ground. I really like these guys' calls. They can rotate between about 50 different songs, and I got a recording of it later on at the second location. Here's an American robin. I did enjoy taking photos of the birds posing on top of the structures. Here's one of the ponds on site. This was a very active spot for birding, where I caught the sound of a red-eyed vireo and a warbling vireo, but I couldn't get a clear photo of them. This is a groundhog, or a woodchuck, which I really didn't know those were the same thing until I was doing research for this, but it was sunning itself on a tombstone. I found that incredibly weird to see, but here's another gray catbird. I really like these birds. They're so round and cute, and their call does sound like a meow. Here's a northern cardinal. While the experience overall at the cemetery was great, my birding was sort of lackluster. I only got a small handful of species. So fortunately, the next location, Prospect Park, also in Brooklyn, is much more fortuitous. For the first part of this, I was actually on a walk with the Brooklyn Bird Club, who does free guided bird walks in Prospect Park, where they have, very experienced birders who can point out the small warblers in the tree that you might not see if you're someone inexperienced like myself. So this definitely resulted in a lot of lifers. This is a black and white warbler. I got quite a lot of photos of these this week, but this was the very first.
It just took off again.
Maybe it's coming back with a songbird.
We caught sight of the nest of a Cooper's hawk, and this was absolutely incredible. And just so you know, I mean, my camera is zoomed in all the way to 60x zoom in this. I'm not getting anywhere close to that nest. They were feeding their young, I believe. I can't see the young in there, but at a point, both parents were up in the nest, and they were eyeballing us, so we walked away after a couple of minutes. Really, really wonderful to see, and something I wouldn't have noticed if not for the guides. Here's another warbler. I believe this is a second black and white warbler. I got some really grainy photos here. Where is he? There it is. Black and white warbler. Very round looking right there. Oh, this is a Louisiana water thrush. Definitely one of the weirdest looking birds that I've seen. Like, it looks like a thrush. I think it's technically a warbler. And then it has these extraordinary long legs. So, what a weirdo. This is a common grackle, along with a hooded warbler. This was a major highlight of the day. The hooded warbler. Absolutely adorable little bird that was hopping around at a very low level in the branches that made photographing it pretty easy until it left. And here's a little yellow-rumped warbler, one of the more common warbler species you're going to see in the city here. Another gray catbird. You get a close-up on that head. It looks like he's wearing a hat. And this is a rose-breasted grosbeak. Also the first time I've been able to successfully photograph one of these. But it was perched basically right above my head. See that thick bill really break open some seeds. This was another lifer, the black-throated blue warbler, which I only got one photo of here, but just wait, there will be a couple more later on. Another black and white warbler. And here's some of his behavior, the black and white warbler moving along a branch. It really fooled me for a woodpecker at first, for a downy. Like, it's even doing the little woodpecker pose here. Come on now. This is a northern parula, and this was another lifer for me. I was able to really observe it eating some of these little seeds off of this tree. Here's a house sparrow. And a white-throated sparrow that I was fooled as to what it was at first. This is a Cape May warbler. You can tell by that reddish mask on it. And then I got a little bit of a better photo here. You can see the underside, and then a little bit better photo of the mask. Absolutely beautiful sunset-colored warbler. Oh, there he goes. This is a red-tailed hawk I just saw flying overhead, as well as an American crow. A red-bellied woodpecker. There was a number of these hopping around, just enjoying the warbler company, I guess. Trying to act nonchalant, you know? Here's another of the black-throated blue warbler. And overhead flying as well an osprey, which there's a couple of these living in Prospect Park as far as I'm aware. I thought it had something in its mouth, but it's just the head turned sideways. This is an American redstart, another lifer for me. Very beautiful, but very tiny little bird. So round. And a Baltimore oriole, which I actually did catch the sound of in Greenwood Cemetery, but I couldn't for the life of me photograph one, and here in Prospect I was able to get one perched up just perfectly for the photo. Here's an ovenbird, another lifer for me. This is a little warbler that basically is dressed like a thrush. I had thought it was a thrush until people on Reddit told me otherwise. But one of the cutest birds ever, certainly. And this is day 2 in Prospect Park now, essentially, and the bird that I had been searching for basically the past month just appeared right above me here. The scarlet tanager. And this is a bright red male you can see moving about in these trees here. And it only gave me a glimpse of it at this moment, but I was able to catch another of it later on and get some better footage. Here's a northern rough-winged swallow. These are incredibly hard to photograph because they fly so fast, but I was testing getting, really high shutter speed and trying to do it. Turned out alright. Here's a mute swan with some of these swallows just harassing it. There's a barn swallow going over its head. Here's a mute swan doing a bit of dabbling. I think it's kind of sifting through some seaweed. I don't know if it's eating it or eating bugs, and then it goes down to dabble to eat some bugs and maybe small fish and stuff like that. But that long neck, I'm sure it can stick its neck basically down to the bottom, just about. I love that shape, pretty funny. Here's another black-throated blue warbler. This is really becoming one of my new favorites. It's just so cute. Here's looking right at me. So round, very borb-like. And another red-bellied woodpecker posing for me. Along with a good amount of thrushes. Another amount of thrushes. This is a hermit thrush, another hermit thrush, and then I also saw a Swainson's thrush. This is a kingbird, an eastern kingbird, and I was able to see it diving for fish, but then it basically came right at me, so I don't know. This is the last thing you see before you die, I guess. Here's the vocalizations of a wood thrush. Just take a listen. incredibly cute bird and very beautiful song rotation that it has. This is a chipmunk, not a bird, but it was posing too well for me not to take a photo. And man, right as I was leaving, the scarlet tanager, there was one right in the tree above me, and then a second one appeared as well. And this one was actually a little bit orangey, which I looked up why that could possibly be, because the female is not orange. It's actually kind of yellowish colored. It doesn't look like, this is the male, bright red, and then the second one was more orangey. And from what I could find, that's basically a younger male that's just almost filling out its red coloration, so it's just not quite there yet. So, or it's an abnormal pigmentation. But very interesting to see my lifer scarlet tanager with a somewhat abnormal coloring. This one was taking a bath in the river. Really one of the best pieces of footage I've gotten all year. And literally 5 seconds later, not to be outshone by another redbird, the northern cardinal makes an appearance to take another bath. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this iteration of my New York City birding journey. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.